Hey, Possum, Civil Disorder here with Making Change. And we're back for episode 3 with my dear friend, Timothy Marquis Johnson, catching up on our past 10 years of not speaking to each other and how we've changed and how the world's changed. Everything that's gone on from the time frame where we stopped talking in 2012 when Obama was just being reelected for the reelecting in 2012, and we stopped talking to where we are currently, where we have just been through 4 of the worst years of my life, and now we have President Biden in office, and so. Tim and I talked earlier today, and one of the reasons that I wanted to get this all on recording is about politics and race relations, and we started to have a really in-depth conversation about those two things, and I think that it's important for the viewpoints that he has to be shared, and we're just going to banter. As I've told him, I'm not going to interview because this is not sort of a structured, I want to know your feelings on a particular topic. It's going to be a much more interesting dialogue. And I think the thing that's going to keep you tuning in for episode 4 and however long we go. Hopefully you enjoyed the first 2 and got to know Tim a little bit and know how much I love him and how much he loves me. So whatever discussions we happen to have, whether we agree or disagree, we will obviously respect each other and see where that goes. But he doesn't need to worry that I'm going to abandon him again, because that's not who I am at this point in my life. And I hope to never be back in that place. So that said, welcome back, Tim.
Yes. So what we were talking about earlier, I was saying that how me living now, I live in Washington State, and so, but I lived in Seattle from 2016, right when Donald Trump got elected, and so I guess the thing is that me and Gregory are different as far as we see differently as far as 45.
And I'm going to pause a second and say Tim is still calling me Gregory, and that's okay with me. He will, like all of y'all who have known me a long time, take a while to start calling me Sybill on the regular. So don't call him out in the comments that or wonder why I'm not calling him out from this moment on if he slips. So he's going to be one
Sybill,
of the
my apologies, Sybill.
Thank you. He's like my mommy. I'm going to give them some slack for a while. Okay, go ahead.
So me and Sybill have very different opinions about who is evil. You know, with my thing with Donald Trump, and I'm not. And here's the thing, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and tell anyone this that listens to this. I don't care about getting any type of acceptance about supporting President Trump. I have no regrets about who I voted for. I voted for him twice, and I have no regrets about it. I had my reasons why. I was informative. I paid attention to everything, every network. So just to be clear, for me, I also feel like that my experience living in Texas versus living in Washington State, living in those particular areas, really made me see the other side that I did not see in Texas. When I first moved to Oregon, that was the first place I lived. I lived in Portland, and so there was always this sort of judgment and question about me being from Texas, it being this like racist place and everything. And I grew up in Houston, and so that wasn't my experience. As I kind of talked about in the other episodes, that my experience, I was in a very much so culturally diverse area, was experienced with a lot of cultural diversity. And so, but it was very shocking to some people at those areas like Portland that was at the time, there were parts that were particularly white areas in Portland, that were particularly just white people, but they had um, more so people of color in certain parts, certain restaurants. Where like, so I'll give you an example. So they had like in Portland, like in North Portland. North Portland was like where the all the people of color, black folks live. And they had the Popeyes chicken there, they had the Nike there. But in Lake Oswego, which is where I worked at, Lake Oswego is maybe about 20 minutes from North Portland. They have a Trader Joe's, they have a Starbucks, they have everything nice. They don't have no Popeyes chicken over there. You know what I'm saying? So but this is also
Popeye's chicken I thought was pretty decent. I think you might
exactly,
like
yeah.
Popeye's chicken, right?
Everyone likes it. Yeah, it down in the South. So that's also a prime example. So in the South, in Houston, they had them everywhere. They had them in Katy. They had them in, Katy. I point that out because it's a suburb area. They had Sonic. They have everything, but they only had the Popeyes chicken all in the particular black neighborhoods. But yet this particular city with all these progressive people also were lecturing me and telling me about, oh, what is it like being a racist state like Texas? Like, have you ever been other than like on the airplane in Dallas?
Right.
Oh, and they haven't. So
Watching the series Dallas or something like that.
right. But it was just a lot of sort of people there that were liberal, that I was around that were liberal. And mind you, I was embracing the liberalism, the drive, riding, the taking public transportation, recycling, all those things, like those sort of traditional things that, I thought I agree with and I support. But it's sort of like it's just a show. Like it's not really, like you kind of learn that it's all just for show, that no one ever really practices that. And part of that is because, Oregon, Washington, and I think California, they're all sanctuary states. So
Right.
you have like a lot of different people that come from different places. So they bring sort of their ideology or wherever they come from to Portland. So it changes.
Sure.
And so people that the natives get kind of pushed out, they all move to like the rural areas because it's like overrun by so many different people, and they bring a lot of, and some of them come from countries where there's not so a lot of freedom. You know what I'm saying? So, and so with it being more of a sanctuary state, particularly Washington, there's a lot of benefits that a lot of people that come from that are immigrants, that they get more than people like myself that pay high ass taxes, that literally me and my partner could not get a damn house in Seattle if we wanted to, because it's so expensive. Like even the house where we're at right now, we're over by the lake. If we were in Seattle, we wouldn't be able to even own a home like that. So so what my issue is that these places that are liberal, these blue states that sort of lecture and want to criticize red states and want to talk about being voter suppression and being racist and stuff. But what are y'all doing here? What are we doing here? Why is it you're not making housing affordable, in these particular areas? Why are you particularly in Seattle, like before the pandemic happened, they had a freaking soda tax. A freaking soda tax. Now, the majority of the people that are that are around downtown in these areas where they have soda taxes and they pay a lot of money to just get a damn drink. Sugar
Okay,
tax.
so
I don't
is
know
that
what it
like
is.
a fountain drink, or is it basically
Yeah, fountain drink. Yeah,
okay.
fountain drink. Like the fountain, like your Coke products and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
so they do that, but the majority of the people that are around those areas are homeless people. So
There you go.
what are they?
So they're trying to control a homeless population by having a soda tax.
Yeah, but like it's like, but what are they going? But what are they going to drink? Like what? I mean, why are like those they have the public fountains, in Oregon too, as well as Washington. but still, like they
COVID.
should
I
be
mean, can you? No, we can't have public
I mean,
fountains.
those,
No.
it's,
Ugh.
well, that you know the ones where like usually around the summertime they'll like they'll have them on and everything. Because I did when I first moved out there. I used to drink it. I know I was yeah. But anyway,
There's
so
always been something wrong with you. So we won't even
yeah,
go there.
I know, right? But my point is that like you don't tell me don't lecture me about where I'm from and say that it's racist when y'all got issues here and you guys aren't paying attention to your local leaders and your local governors and you got homelessness, we've got drug problems, you know, the people can't get it, you know, mental illness, opioids, things like that. Mental health within men is a big thing in the Pacific Northwest because up here it's been blue for so many years. Women have businesses. Women are fine up here. Women discriminate also a lot more up here in the job setting because they can, you know, and a lot of men don't have like a lot of opportunities and a lot of jobs. And it's not just black men, it's white men too, everyone, you know.
Yep.
So
Don't say
my
that. White men already think that we're trying to get rid of them. I mean, don't tell them the truth.
why would you want to get rid of yourself? White.
Well, see, that's the thing. But I know you're not trying to get rid of them. So
Well, and well,
you like
my
my
thing,
legs. You like my legs too much.
I know, right? Yeah. So that's kind of been my experience. So yeah, going back to and so also I've also witnessed as a person that is been around conservatives and liberals all my life, I've witnessed more people that were liberal that were more intolerant than conservatives.
Yeah.
I don't like that, you know, because don't, you know, like I find it offensive, you know, that you're discriminating against someone that is a choosing to be conservative and you're already insinuating that they are racist or that they have white privilege. And it's like, no, um, I think that people that, you know, that I personally don't like the term white privilege. And I think that used in a very negative reverse. And I think that we
What
can
would you
agree that
use in place of it? What would you use in place
money,
of it?
money privilege. There's plenty of black folks that
Money
have lots of.
privilege.
There's plenty of black
Now
people
see,
that
I
I know.
like that.
There's plenty of black people that I know that have gotten away with things and were able to get off on certain things. I'm not going to say their names,
Okay.
but I will say that there is, you know, these people that talk about white privilege, people like, and I'm about to blast Oprah's ass too. How dare her say I heard her say something, uh, said that that a poor white woman or a poor white man has more privilege than she does.
Who said
That to me, Oprah said that.
Oprah?
Yeah, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? You realize that you
Hell,
just made your money. Your money was made off of the backs of suburban women. Your money was made. And how dare you?
suburban
How
white
dare
women. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, it pissed me off. It made me so mad because these people are these people were because we know why it made me so mad because I hear so many white people talk about how much they love Oprah. A lot of liberals, a lot of white liberals say
Yeah.
back in the day, and for her to even say something like that, it's just a slap in the face. And
It-
so it's just so many of these people that got what they wanted from everybody else, you know, out, you know, they money and everything, and now they would say stuff that I feel like is very disingenuous. And so when she said that, I was just like, wow, mm, mm, you really do believe that? Hmm, interesting. Interesting.
It was certainly true when she was a child, but
But you made it. So why don't you so instead of the people, the black folk that are in these positions, how about you tell us how we do it?
well, here's another
Instead of
thing I
saying that
have
we're oppressed.
and maybe if I get to interview Oprah someday, I could throw this question out because I've had it for years. You know, I applaud that she started a school for Black children or Black girls in Africa. Where's the school for Black girls in the United States? Where is that
Right.
school?
Right.
And she,
I don't want to get. Yep.
where's
Sorry, go ahead.
where's the uplifting of the poor Black community in this country? And she's a billionaire. So, you know, to me, she is exactly on the same level with, you know, the Jeff Bezos of the world as far as money is concerned, because she's not doing shit either. And, you know, whatever it is she is doing, and I applaud whatever it is she's doing, but when you have $1 billion, you're not doing shit, as far as I'm concerned. Especially when you're a Jeff Bezos kind of billionaire. And explain to me, please, how did Rihanna become a billionaire? I like
That's what I'm saying.
but how did she? I haven't even heard a song from her in 10 years. How did she become a
But that's what
billionaire?
I'm saying. But where is the systemic racism though? Why, if we have, where is the systemic racism coming from? And I'm gonna give you a point. I'm gonna give you something to think about too. Is that
Is it certain?
who controls the institutions? Who controls the media? Who controls the schools? Who controls the schools? People that's on the liberal side. So if the systemic racism, Republicans don't, conservatives don't control shit. So you can't sit up here and blame. You can say that it's systemic racism, but the people that are perpetuating the systemic racism, people are still voting for.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we all know. I mean, the woke people, and I've told you already, I hate the word woke. To me, that's the white folks who sit on the sideline and say, "Oh, we have Black friends, and you know, we definitely believe that Black Lives Matter, and so yes, we are woke." No, that's
no. They do it because they know, because they want to. It's almost like I always related to sort of like I'm about to be biblical a little bit. In the Bible, in Passover, and when the angel of death comes and sees like sees the blood on the door and then passes and everything like that. They think they're gonna be saved by doing that stuff. That's why the black screen, when the George Floyd thing happened, and I saw so many white liberals do this black screen thing and just disingenuous and fake and sent me this like text message about oh, so sorry. I actually blasted him. I'm not gonna tell you what I said, because I think you may not like what I had to say, because I said I said, as much as I don't like the fact that George Floyd died, and I thought the way he died was awful, I don't want to be compared to a criminal.
Okay.
He was arrested 9 times, and he was on fentanyl, and he was on so many drugs. So how dare you call me and tell me about I'm thinking about you about in reference of a criminal? So no,
I get what you're saying there. You know,
that's just like if Timothy McVeigh, when a white person has done something or shot something, that's just me going and telling a white person, thinking about you today.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right, and that's a great analogy.
That's one thing that I want to let people that Black people need to realize, and this is what I think white people and Black people need to do, and this is just my opinion. I think that Black people need to stop allowing themselves to think of themselves as being oppressed, and thinking that allowing white people to think that they're above and better than them. You are on the same wavelength. You bleed, you cut.
I think that because the way I'm hearing what you're saying is it's all about attitude. And do you think that if you have the attitude that you don't have a ceiling over you, there is no oppression involved,
No,
That's
I think
why
I
Oprah
think that
succeeds
people,
or
I,
Beyonce succeeds more than a lot of other people.
yeah, and I don't. Well, for one, I think with them, they were in a right place at the right time.
Well, sure.
They did what they did. But the problem that I have with those people that are in those positions is that they keep the other people in the same place by telling them that they're oppressed. Because even within their lyrics, even within this sort of black power image that Beyonce is trying to portray. I'm not a Beyonce fan. So sorry everybody, I'm not a Beyonce fan. You can curse me later. But
Uh,
I'm from Houston. She's from
Have
Houston.
you
I'm from
been
Houston,
asked
but I
to
don't
turn
care.
in your black card yet?
Um,
Have you been asked to turn in your black card yet?
oh man, my black card has been like broken, chipped away since as long as I can remember. Because for some reason, people equate even back then, which is so sad which is unfortunate if a black person thinks this way now. But people used to equate intelligence and being on time with whiteness. They even put it in the damn book, and that damn Robin DiAngelo book that is just spewing a lot of like just white supremacy, to believe it or not, because it's got like all people that read this book are now they get to be so virtuous and they get to be so awesome and they get to preach to their right wing like I guess friend or whatever like that and lecture them and they feel so much better. It's just like a cult, pretty much. Um, but I tell them, I call them out on it all the time, and then they try to say, "Well, you don't know what it's like to be white." I said, "I have a partner that's white, and I've been around white people all my life, so don't tell me that." So I won't accept that. Nope, nope.
I, I, I don't know what it's like to be black either, but
You've been around black people though, but you've been around enough black folks to know
yeah,
what
I'm
and
empathetic, and I have educated. I've been around. I've been in relationships with a number of black men. One of my best friends in the world, my BFF, Letitia, as you met Letitia.
yep.
You
Okay.
would, yeah, you wouldn't have been in the picture if she didn't like you. So you passed. Um, and yeah, so but I still I don't need to be black to be understanding and to be compassionate and to listen. That's really what it comes down to. I don't have to know what anything feels like. I don't know what it feels like to be a woman either. I don't identify as a woman, and that's despite how I look right now, cuties. I identify. I lean more toward the masculine side of my binary, but I want to present more on the feminine side, which is, just how it is. So, uh,
Yeah, I mean, for me, my experience in that is that I'm always respectful of whoever want to be. I just think for myself, and I think this is just something that I've like as over the years, as a person that has was trained by women in dance and stuff, and a lot of my mentors were women. I think that for not saying this is you, but I know that there are groups of men that in my profession that have chosen to go down a feminizing route within their profession, but it comes from a place of, I think, sort of taking other opportunities from other women. So, for example, like I'll give you an example, like Yanis Marshall, he is a heels choreographer.
okay.
And so he's been around for a long time, makes his money that way. Um, and so the thing about it is with a lot of these guys that teach these skills classes, I have an issue with it because for one, they're taking away the opportunities for other women that are better. Because ideally a man is going to get more attention. And so I don't ever hear the women talk about that in the dance community about how they feel about men sort of appropriating. Because I feel like that's appropriation where you're actually taking a job away from someone as opposed to using a word. You're not taking that job away, but you think about a man that's like appropriating, wearing heels, he's taking another opportunity from another female that's a dancer. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
And that's where people might disagree with me on that, but that's just And I also think it's easy for some men to kind of go into that route because if you're someone like myself that's like masculine and like even the way I dance nowadays, that sort of comes with a negative stigma, because there have been men that were primarily, I'm gonna say that were probably in a position of power that had abused their power, had like slept with people, like with cast members, things like that, and they were in a position of power. But the problem is
Yeah.
with that is that all these people knew about this reputation, and because this person had a name, and because he was bringing in donations, donors, specific people, they didn't say diddly squat. So it's like my issue with my profession is that now it's a completely different thing now because they're kind of taking on sort of the woke ideology, and so more of a what I would call a postmodern type of ideology, more so trying to conserve certain aspects of art, which is fine. I don't I when it comes to art, I'm not really a traditionalist. I do feel like that I do like to take things on more an abstract. For example, what I say is I don't like when people revive musicals and stuff, but that's something that our people want to do, but it's just cultural stagnation in my opinion. So, but what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that I was around a group of people that sort of were very privileged and didn't really know about what it is like to be in the real world. Like most of them that were dancers, they mama and daddy paid for them their, all their life. They went to the school they wanted to go to. And when you have the means, so yeah, I don't believe in white privilege. I believe in money privilege. I believe like when
Okay.
you have the money to do things, I think that you can get away and you can do whatever you want to do. You'll have the friends you want to have. I mean, because even when it comes to the so-called liberal whites, they're very particular about who they get their information from, who they talk to, as far as like who, like what I've experienced is that I've seen a liberal that's white that will accept a black person being oppressed, and they'll look at my story and they'll look at me as like, who cares, like, and it to me, I feel like, well, wait a minute, so don't you care about like uplifting and me being, but the truth of the matter is you learn that they they want you down here. But when you start becoming up their level, then that's when there's an issue. And I don't care what anyone says, but that's what I've seen from particularly people that try to pretend like they care about the little guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
they care about the little guy being little down here so he doesn't come up here. Because guess what? If he comes up here and takes something away from him, all of that stuff that they believed in will go away. So it's all a facade. So people up here, I can only speak for people up here in the West Coast and Northwest. They full of shit as far as like, understanding about what it means about equality and diversity and all those things. And you're not, it's not about that. I feel like up here, I feel like people just care about power, and that's what it comes down to, And so I think that that's kind of why I my views have shifted, and a lot of it really has to do with my accident. My accident, and when I moved to LA, and when I lost my friend to suicide, when I was out there, he was an actor. That really changed me a lot. So it wasn't about anything that because I've always been always on the kind of like always kind of sort of kept I didn't hang out with my castmates or people that I perform with or consider them like BFFs like that. So because I just knew that mm, you don't not really friends, you're mainly coworkers, like, and it's just the truth. Like you can have like a good cool friend, but at the end of the day, being a dancer and being a performer is a very selfish lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I just have learned that. And that's why I'm glad that my partner is not in that world, that he's kind of away from it, that he's just like a small town, like super laid back, because it's good for me. Because then I because if you have another person that's a performer, you know, you're both selfish. You know, you're not gonna, you know, there's not anyone.
Well, that's,
You,
yeah, that's why Hollywood marriages last, 27 minutes, because
yeah,
as soon
like,
as
and I
one of them
understand that
gets
now.
more attention than the other one, they can't stand each other. They can't
Right,
stand the
exactly.
competition.
And see, if I was with someone that was a performer, I wouldn't care because I don't need to rely off of his accolades or I got my own
And
shit. I
that
got my own.
that's the thing. It's all about whether how self-aware you are, and how your true self love, because I would be in the same way as you, because you and I both have already said we want to lift everybody. I keep saying to everybody that I interact with lately that has been in my ride or die since the accident. Now I'm keep saying the accident. Mine was the
Mhm.
hospitalization, the illness. But since then, a rising tide lifts all boats within its safe
Mhm.
harbor. And so, people who have been there for me that I love are going to benefit from whatever happens to me. If become very wealthy because of who I'm becoming, and I can use that money to meet my purpose of changing the world and helping people, so be it. And I'm going to bring everybody along with me. So I feel a lot of joy about it.
Yeah. So I guess like just going back to my point, like I mean, yeah. So 2016, kind of at first in 2016 when I was paying attention to the election and stuff. And I'll be the first one to admit that in the very beginning, when you know, um, I actually was looking at in the primary, I was looking at Bernie Sanders for a little bit, just because he was speaking some things that was, some truth. But then he sold out, and I just was like, go away. So then I looked on the Republican side, and so I was looking at Dr. Ben Carson. And then when I saw that he endorsed Donald Trump, I was like, because I already knew about Donald Trump from the Celebrity Apprentice. Me and my partner watched it a lot, watched for years, have all of the, like, have, we knew about Trump way before when he wasn't branded as being a racist by the media.
Well,
So,
I watched Celebrity Apprentice, or I watched Apprentice the very first season, or I think I watched the first 3 seasons
yeah,
where I got tired of it. And I watched the whole season where Martha did her apprentice as well. That was not nearly as interesting because Martha is not, despite having great success being a personality, she's not that charismatic. So she
right,
just doesn't, because the way she presents and she speaks, in my opinion. In my opinion.
right. Um, so yeah, I mean, when Dr. Ben Carson was, he endorsed him, so I started looking him up. And then when people started mocking and laughing and saying he's never gonna make it, blah, 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 that's what they said from 2016 and 15. And then when the Pulse shooting happened, and I don't know if the media ever covered it or said it, but I saw it. This was 2016. I was in LA at the time when the shooting happened in at the nightclub, and uh, Trump said something about, like, terrorists, talking about the person that was a terrorist and everything like that, and speaking out against that. And so, and that was and it was for the LGBT community. And so I just started looking at him. And so then when I just saw people sort of mocking, and then people saying, well, if you vote for Trump, or all that stuff came after he won, because people didn't think he was going to win, and they thought that Hillary was going to win. I voted for him out of spite, just out of spite, because I was tired of all the little snarkiness and rudeness from a lot of the people that I was around that was mocking him. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna vote for him, and so I did. So when I did, he got in, and then, well, people saw, and then people, of course,
So
had a
it's your
meltdown.
fault. Folks, you've heard it here. If you want somebody to blame for Trump, it's Timothy Marquis Johnson who voted out of spite.
I did. I sure did. And then when I started really paying attention, then in 2020, even after the pandemic, even when there were some things I didn't agree with, I just wasn't going to vote for Joe Biden. So that was just easy for me. I look.
We talked earlier. I'm going to interrupt you a little bit. We talked earlier before you get into Biden about your feelings on Obama. And so before we talk about your feelings on Biden, let's talk about Obama.
Well, it's pretty much just when he first got elected, I thought, oh, great, we got a black president. I don't need to hear this crap about black people can't do anything anymore. So I thought I was actually looking at it as a positive experience, even though I didn't vote for him. And part of the reason why I didn't vote for him, because there was something about him that I thought he's going to be president, but he's not really my cup of tea.
Okay.
There was just something I just didn't know. I just thought he was just a face. He was just a face. So then I started, I kind of went on and off with some stuff. And then whatever the media, and this is the problem, is that, you had certain networks when they write about specific presidents, depending on if they're Democrat or Republican, I always felt like the media was always biased against when it came to Democrats. And so what I realized was that a lot of the people that are commentators and that are people that are on, specifically George Stephanopoulos, I didn't realize he worked within the Clinton administration, and so I just thought that was very interesting.
You didn't know that? Oh my God. Oh, we had such a crush on George Stephanopoulos when Clinton was winning.
I was young, so but of course nobody would know that if unless it's people from your generation and stuff. Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's old.
So but I was like, can we really expect for them to be not biased? So with Obama, I thought, and this is a conspiracy theory, and I don't mind sharing it. I don't know what it's called, but
a lot of
I really do
conspiracy theorists. So I am a little bit to some degree, probably with some people say, but
this is where I could be wrong, but I also but police brutality and all those things have been going on for years, even before Obama.
Of course.
But I think that it became.
I remember Rodney King in 1992. So,
but I also think it was a good way for the media to rush to judgment about these particular things without having any type of evidence or information, and then things coming out later, like even with the George Floyd stuff, they only showed one part of the video and didn't show the whole thing when he brought the $20 counterfeit and was on drugs and stuff like that, and then nobody ever talks about the fact that this happened in what was her name that ran for president, that was running for president in the primaries? I cannot think of her name, but this was in her district. This particular, I can't think of her name. So,
yeah.
She was the other woman that was running in the primary. I don't know.
Oh well.
But
it
was in her district. So and she's a Democrat. So I just think that they fabricate a lot of this stuff on every election cycle. I really do. They know that, and they get with people's emotions, and that's what happened. They fundraise. So Democrat Party, they fundraise on grievances, but they don't really fix the problem. They just fundraise on it. And the Republicans, and this is the Republican part, they don't do shit. What they do is that they freak out every single time that they get a New York Times article written about them. What do? They go on these networks, and then they sit up there and they talk about how awful it is. They fundraise on their issues, but they don't do anything about it either. That's so right. I get upset with them more because the truth of the matter is I've written off the Democrat Party. Me personally, I've written it off because they have nothing that supports me personally. I'm a male. I consider myself a masculine male. And so they don't have anything for me. You don't even want me to work, you know? You don't even care. You care about the black woman, but you don't care about the black man. Because if you did care about the black man, you would not be trying to uh feminize us, like all of us, black men.
Feminize. Tell me what you mean by that.
When I say feminizing, I'm seeing a lot of men, what I see, that are trying, that they're becoming more feminine in such a way that's not, I don't feel like is really good. And I think it comes from a place of trying to trigger conservatives. So it doesn't come from a place of it comes from a place of let's trigger conservatives, you know, because a lot of the stuff, like Lil Nas, what is his name, this rapper or whatever, that's like a country rapper, he put out a video of basically just like all the different types of triggers that could trigger any conservative at all. But like being in jail, like boys dancing up against each other and stuff like that, and that's fine. I don't care. But it's like, what is the point of it? You're being used as a prop. He's being used as a prop to trigger a certain group of people, to get a reaction, knowing that conservatives are going to be triggered by that. So,
okay.
And that's where I'm saying, where I think with the it's hard to explain as far as the feminizing. I just feel like there's more support among men being more feminine than they are being more masculine.
Interesting.
But then with women, it's okay for them. But with women, it's okay for them to be like a badass bitch and to be powerful and to be this way. But when a man does it, it's a completely different thing, you know.
Well, I can address that easily. That's from years, you know, decades, centuries. Yeah, I mean, before time.
I mean, I get it, but that's not
oppressed by men. So yeah, I mean, and finally
right.
being able to be strong. So
right, that's fine. But you can't also. But how about you try? But it's only just for certain type specific jobs, such as being in an office. What about being a plumber? What about working underneath the ground? What about doing those type of things? I don't ever see no push for that. So it's only.
I know women plumbers. I mean, there exists there. I mean, I know women.
Well, I know that they exist. I know they exist, but up here, they're not trying to fight for those jobs. They're not. They're up here. They're trying to get there. They already have positions up here, but they discriminate against men. So it's like it's not my fault. It's like that's what I'm. It's not. That's what
so you're saying now that basically in Seattle, the women have all the power.
In the Northwest, they do. They have.
The women have all the power, and the men.
They don't. The type
so
of
the roles
oppression
have reversed, is what you're telling me. In the Northwest,
the type of oppression that probably in the South it does not exist up here in the same way. It's like completely flip flops. Like it's almost like the conservatives are like the little guy, and up here, everybody that's liberal, you're part of the liberal party club, man. Like it's you know, you're in. You know, that's what this is about. This is not about fighting for the little guy. This is not about, you know, caring about the real true issues, because this is more about power, you know. And so that's what it is here. And I think that probably some things, but also it comes down with the people. You know, in Texas, they have a Republican governor. They didn't. My mom told me they didn't listen to him about the mask mandates and everything when he lifted the mask mandates. Some of them still with their business. Well, I'm still gonna wear my mask. We still gonna. That's fine. But that comes from the people, and that makes Texas Texas. These idiots up here, when we created a mask mandate with our shit governor, and he was doing shitty things. Oh, we don't want to get fined. Oh my God, the $2,000. These people are so nobody here stands up for anything. They're weak. They're weak as fuck. But they fight, but they're so busy fighting unnecessary battles that so that's why they take on battles in the South and in the middle America and get on that bandwagon because they can't do anything up here.
Okay.
That's what I have to say about it. And it makes me mad because they full of bullshit. They are. Like they don't know. And anytime that I get the opportunity, I do it. I tell them about themselves. I say, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I give them the same liberal shit that they give everybody else. Because guess what? I hung out with all y'all all my life. I know what your talking points are. Even before you open your mouth. Because guess what? I learned about it. I heard it from Don Lemon. I heard about it from Chris Cuomo. I heard about it from Laura Ingraham. I heard about it from Hannity. On both sides, I'm calling everybody out. I call everybody out. So anyway.
Okay, and on that note, right there, that should keep everybody. We'll give a cliffhanger for the next episode. I felt like this one was a little bit more what we were hoping for with the real Tim. There he is blushing. Look at that beautiful face, folks. Couldn't you just smooch that face?
They probably want to punch me now, probably after what I said. But look, I said what I said, and I'm not changing it.
Well, I still want to snog you. So I'm about as liberal as they come, and I still want to snog you. So on that note, tune in next week for a continuation. Bye.